There we go. Looks like you're ready. Click here to start streaming. Going live, going live, going live. You're live. Hello, people. Hello, alive people out there. It's Jared and Nick.
Hello.
Say hi, Nick. Say something. You're live to the entire world. That's my Truman Show impersonation. Say something. What's he say? Do you remember? You remember that movie?
I just watched that like at the beginning of the pandemic. So not too long ago.
That's a long time ago.
Or a really long time ago.
He says, if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or in case I don't see you. I don't know. It's been a while. Well, let's hit record. I mean, there's no preamble because it's just us and we know what we're doing here. So I don't need to make you feel comfortable.
It's very presumptuous that I know what I'm doing.
You don't know what I'm doing with my new game show.
That's true.
It's going to be awesome. Or terrible. But we're going to find out. You're going to find out. It's going to be me versus you, I think. I mean, that's pretty much how you have to do it. But I already know all the answers. So you'll figure it out as we go. I'm recording. You're recording.
Yep.
Record on this computer. Zoom is recording. Welcome to the live show. Y'all say hi in the chat. If you're on YouTube, we disable that chat because we have our own chat in the JS Party channel of the Changelog Slack. So if you want to participate there, we want you to. It's at changelog.com/community, or just go to changelog.com and click on the community button in the header there. Free sign up, email only. Get a Slack invite, hop in the JS Party channel. That's a lot of steps. We're not making it easy on you, but only the most dedicated will survive and join us in the JS Party channel. So there you have it. Just me and Nick today. We're doing a show. We got a April Fool's Day inspired show, and we'll see what happens. This is a brand new segment I made up. I won't say I made it up today, but if I said yesterday, I'd probably be lying. So we'll just leave it at that. It's brand new, and I think it's going to be cool, but it could be terrible. Either way, we'll have fun doing it.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Should we get right into it? Intro music and roll. What's up, Igor? What's up, Thomas? Always happy to see y'all in the chat. All right. Oh, can you hear this? Rebecca is here, as always. Good to have you, Rebecca. You heard that, right, Nick?
I did.
Okay. And that means everybody heard it. Let me make sure my local recording picked it up. Yep, sure enough. Super. So the soundboard is in effect. And I'm not quiet, right? I'm not quiet?
Nope. You sound good.
Awesome. So I'm not sure what happened that day. I know it happened, but I'm not sure how it happened. The loop back just dragged my master volume down to 16%.
I feel like that's happened to me.
It wasn't even launched. Like, it runs in the background and provides the soundboard virtual device. But somehow it got switched down, and Mohammed's here. Good to see you there as well. I don't know. So crisis averted. Here we go. Get Jack for JS Party time. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I was just attending the pep rally for JS Party. And now I'm jacked. I'm Jared, your internet friend. And I'm joined by my friend, Nick Nisi. What's up, Nick?
Ahoy, hoy. Hi, jacked.
Are you a dad?
Yes.
Hi, jacked. I'm dad.
Ahoy, hoy.
Well, you didn't quite finish the line, but I appreciate the effort anyways.
Team effort.
And it's just you and me here today. but I brought you something. I hope you appreciate it. A little gift from me to you. Can't play any more of it, otherwise we'll get demonetized again. But that was a good 12 seconds.
I was trying to think of what the kids said at the end of it. I have not heard that song in a long time.
All I remember is Will Smith saying, "Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you." I don't remember the kid's line. I think it was actually his son, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Making him famous at a very young age. Of course, the Dr. Evil version with Mini-Me is even better. In which he says, "Mini-Me, you complete me."
That's a set of movies that I haven't seen in a long time that I've been thinking about, but
Austin Powers?
Yeah. I just worry that they won't hold up.
I have a feeling they do, because I still quote them on a regular basis. So maybe like parts won't hold up, but there's got to be good stuff in there. I mean,
yeah.
I eat a baby, gold member. I love gold. I mean, there's lots of stupid things that are funny still, to me at least, but I'm perpetually 12 years old, I think. Well, I have a question for you, Nick. Do you like April Fool's Day?
No, I don't.
I don't either. But here we are. It's April Fool's Day. Probably the worst day on the internet, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So bad that none of our friends showed up for Jay's party. They're just like, we're just going to peace out and not be on the show today because we want to avoid internets. But here we are. It's April Fool's, and so none of the headlines can be believed. So based on that, I came up with this cool, well, you decide if it's cool. I came up with this game called Head Lies. Now, it's not Head Lice. That would be gross. It's Head Lies, like fake news, And I thought I would pitch it to you today, live on the air. But first, let's talk about some of the big news that came out. This is real news that launched this week. Kind of a big deal, it seems like. I just wanted to get your take on it, which is the Dino Land folks now have their own company. So Ryan Dahl and Bert Belder wrote at the beginning of this week announcing the Dino Company. And they're taking it official. They've raised money, $4.9 million of seed capital from folks from Four River Ventures, Guillermo Rauch from Rauch Capital. We know him from Vercel and Next and those things. Lee Jacobs from Long Journey Ventures, the Mozilla Corporation, Shasta Ventures, and a longtime collaborator, Ben Nordwies, all invested up to almost $5 million into this deal. And now Dino's like this official business now.
Yeah. So can you maybe explain it to me? Like what they're actually doing?
It's a limited liability. No. What are they doing? So I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I will tell you that they're not going to do an open core business model, which would be where they provide certain features of Dino in some sort of like an open source core, and then build on top of that around it more advanced or pro or premium features of Dino and make that, what you pay for. They're not doing that. In fact, the software is MIT licensed and will retain the MIT license. In fact, Ryan says in their post, for Dino to grow and be maximally useful, it must remain permissively free. We don't believe the open core business model is right for a programming platform like Dino. We do not want to find ourselves in the unfortunate position where we have to decide if certain features are for paid customers only. That's really the rub with these open cores, is like deciding what goes where, and there's a conflict of interest at different times, and it can be difficult to navigate that successfully. And they say, if you watch our conference talks, you'll find we've been hinting at commercial applications of this infrastructure for years. We are bullish about the technology stack we've built and intend to pursue those commercial applications ourselves. Our business will build on the open source project, not attempt to monetize it directly. So that's what they're saying now, TBD, what exactly all that means. There is on the new Dino.com, so they probably shelled out some of that $5 million on getting Dino.com, because it's always been Dino.land, and now they have Dino.com because it's official. The They have a new deploy section, which seems to hint at their first potentially commercial offering.
Yeah.
I just don't know exactly what that is. Did you check out the deploy thing?
Yeah, that does seem to be like the first product from the Dino company. I guess you could put it, and that's what I was trying to like understand, like in terms of, I guess, what I already know. They call it a globally distributed JavaScript VM, so it's a V8 runtime where you can run your JavaScript, your TypeScript, your WebAssembly code at the edge worldwide, is what they say. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is this like their own custom like way to run Dino as like a Lambda function type thing? Is that comparable, or?
It seems like that's what it is. Probably competing with Cloudflare workers and Netlify functions, whatever their Netlify's functions thing is called. But can't all these other providers just run Dino as well and do the same thing? It seems like, maybe they'll have some secret sauce that makes it like fast or cheap or whatever way they can compete and make it better than what these other cloudish things are providing. That's why I say it's kind of to be determined on whether or not there's a real value proposition there, because anybody can spin up the Dino runtime and run it in a Lambda or in some sort of a VM or container environment and provide you access to that, right?
I think, yeah. And it kind of what they're touting in the blog post and on the Dino deploy landing page, I think, is that it's like the runtime or the environment that you would deploy to is very similar to like the Dino CLI. So it makes it really seamless for development because you run it basically the same way and pass it in.
Yeah.
For the cloud version. And then also, I think in the blog post, they're touting the ability, like one of the key features of Dino is its kind of different take on the security model of JavaScript, right, or of like a JavaScript runtime, where specifically when you run Dino just by itself, you don't have access to the network, you don't have access to the file system, you don't have access to any of this. And what I got from this is that if you don't allow those flags in what you're actually deploying, then that portion of the Dino runtime just doesn't ship. So there's absolutely no way to do any kind of file system stuff if it's
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. Have you done any Dino? So I've done some just toying with it lately, just building a couple of things that are kind of like, I would normally write these just in Ruby or in Node or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'll just try Dino out just for like utilities and scripts. And I actually found that those command line flags are kind of annoying, like you have to, I get it. I think it's probably worth the trade-off at the end of the day, but like allowing file system access, allow --env is one, like just to get at an environment variable.
Yeah.
And so it is definitely a trade-off. And I find it to be kind of annoying for writing scripts, but maybe that's just not the main use case for Dino's scripting.
Yeah. So, I mean, that really it kind of flips it, right? Because it's, if you write a script and give it to me to run, you have to tell me exactly how to run it too. Right. And you as the script writer, do you have to then do the checks? Like, do I have access to the environment variable? No.
Yeah,
throw up this error message.
Blow up, right? Because I mean, if you try to run it without, it will just error out. Like the runtime just errors out. It says, I can't run this script because I need access to this and I don't have it. So it tells you, run it again with --allow_env. And so that's nice. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think ultimately that trade-off was one that they were very serious about making. And so kind of putting a stake in the ground and saying, well, it's worth it because, and it sounds like if that's the case, if you can ship these like miniaturized container runtimes that don't even have the dangerous stuff in them in those cases, right? Like it can't actually access the file system because it doesn't even have those bits anywhere in the binary, and it's just not going to work. I think that's pretty cool for security.
Yeah. Dino is like, I haven't really taken too much time to play with it, although it's definitely on my list of things to look into. And going back to that runtime, that's really like the appeal of it to me. I think the most right now is the idea that you can write your scripts. Like if I'm thinking of things that I would want to do, it'd be like command line applications where
Right.
I'm writing stuff in Bash right now, and I write it in Bash because I know that Bash is probably on your system, and there's not really like a need to, to npm install anything or set up anything like that. And that's like a knock against Node and why I don't write command line style stuff like that, because I consider like global modules to be like ephemeral, and you'd have to like provide like an npm install and then get all of that, and then you'd be able to run the script. But with Deno, it sounds like you can create like an executable that has the entire runtime and everything you need in it,
Yeah.
and then
single
just ship
binary.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of
Which is
the big
spectacular
things.
for distribution, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the big things that I've seen Go being like hoisted up as like being a really great way to build these completely self-contained binaries that contain everything you need. So it's a really good language for creating those command line scripts if you need it, without having to worry about what's actually available on the system. And now, like, I really like this because now I can do it with JavaScript, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. We actually just shipped an episode of Go Time all about releasing, and there's a project called Go Releaser, and a lot of the conversation on that episode is with Go. I just create a universal binary, and then I just like send that where it needs to go. What kind of release process do I need? So some of the argumentation was like, is this even necessary to have these like release tools? Because it really is as simple as generating that binary, and then you can FTP it, you can SSH it, you can drop it in your Slack channel, you could probably email it if it's small enough, and pass it around. And as long as it's been compiled for everybody's architectures, which it has for the most part, it's just going to work on everybody's machines, which has been one of the reasons that Go has really succeeded. I think that's a huge advantage that Deno has over Node. And I'm sure there's Node efforts to provide tooling around making that be a thing, but having it built right into the project and being a first party thing is, I think, going to be something that sets it apart.
Totally.
In terms of the business side, I'll just say, like, to Ryan Dahl and the team, like, congrats. Go ahead and get that money, get that sustainability there. We know last time around, I don't remember the entire history of Node.js, but I know like Ryan created this awesome thing and many people got involved, and there's lots of early adopters and lots of other people working on it as well. And he left the project, and it kind of has moved. It went on from there. And it seems like this time, he worked at Joyent, and there was, IP issues. There's lots of stuff that went in and out of that. NPM came along and made a big business around the package management side. And this time it's like, I feel like, Ryan is trying to correct a lot of his mistakes with Node, is the way he kind of set out with Deno. He came out with that talk, 10 mistakes, 10 things I regret about Node. And then Deno was kind of his new idea of fixing those things. And it seems like maybe Deno, the company, is him trying to fix another maybe mistake that he made last time around with Node. And so I hope it works out for him.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's always good to see attempts at sustainability around open source, and I really hope it works out.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's break right there, and then we'll get into our headlines right after this.
All right.
Oh. Cool. Thanks for linking that up. Paras did a show with. Is Ryan on that episode? It looks like he is. And Rod Bag. Cool. We'll add that to our show notes. All right. Are you ready for segment 2, headlines?
As ready as I can be.
Okay. Everyone's ready for headlines. I think this is going to go over well. Oh, itching to get us the headlines. I get it. I didn't even get your lice pun there at first. I'm such a dope. Our listeners are perpetually smarter than us. Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's find out who is an April Fool and who's going to April drool. I don't know. That didn't really work out. We're going to play a game called Headlines. I've gathered a bunch of real headlines along with the first paragraph from the story. I've also gathered and written some fake headlines along with the first paragraph to those stories. Here's how it's going to work. The headline will be presented, at which point, Nick, you can guess true or false with 2 points on the line. So if you're wrong, I get the points. If you're right, you get the points. Or you can opt to hear the first paragraph before guessing with only 1 point on the line. So you can hear more, but you win more for getting it correct. Now, at the end of the day, you got a 50-50 shot on all these, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could always just guess, and you're going to have to guess. And we'll see who comes out the victor. Sound like fun?
It sounds like every other game that we try and play, and my best shot is to not play.
That's true. Well, I hope I do hope I win, as always. But mostly I just hope that this is entertaining for everybody involved. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, here's the first headline. Apple adds 2 brand new Siri voices and will no longer default to a female or male voice in iOS. Now, you can guess true or false with 2 points on the line, or you can hear the first paragraph of the article.
That is true.
Congratulations, you got it.
I've already listened to Accidental Tech Podcast today, so.
Ah! All right, so you're winning 2-0. Not fair. You heard that headline. All right, next one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Engine raises nearly $19 million to build Polkadot-based blockchain for NFTs.
That sounds like a real headline for sure, but
Okay.
InGen makes me think of the Jurassic Park company, so I'm going to say it's false.
You're going to say it's false.
Oh!
Sorry, you are incorrect. It was true, or it is true.
No way.
Yes. Blockchain development firm Engine has raised $18.9 million to build a Polkadot-based blockchain network, especially for non-fungible tokens. The network, dubbed Efinity, will have its own token called Efinity Token. The funding has been secured by selling EFT tokens. There you go.
Those fools were too busy worrying about if they could. They didn't stop to think whether they should.
Oh, very nice. Jurassic Park pull in there. All right, so that the score is tied. I'm back at it. It's 0-0. You've lost 2. Now remember, if you're not sure, you can listen to the first paragraph and give yourself a little more information, or you can just keep gambling it all. Are you ready for your next one?
All right, I'm ready.
Google's Alphabet invests $50 million in soup startup.
Okay.
Go ahead, think out loud. Tell me your thought process here.
Well, Alphabet's a real company.
Yes.
A soup startup. I think I do want to hear the
more?
paragraph. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the first paragraph of the article. If you need more indicators of easy access to capital in today's speculation crazed market, look no further than a Silicon Valley startup called Souped Up, which announced today they've raised $100 million in a Series B round that is led by none other than Google's parent company, Alphabet. Souped Up applies advanced machine learning techniques to bring low-cost canned goods to developing nations and indigenous peoples. That's a mouthful.
Okay. It seems more plausible, but Igor in the chat says alphabet soup. I'm going to say it's not real.
You're going to say it's not correct. So it's a false, it's a head lie.
Yeah.
You are correct. I made that one up. But I had you going, didn't I?
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
I was going to ask if you use GPT-3 to make that.
To generate these. Well, that would require way more forethought than I put into this, and skill, which I hold very little of. All right, you're now winning 1-0. You got 1 point for getting that one correct. And yes, the alphabet soup really was the funny bit, I thought. Okay. Next headline. Carbon labels are coming to your shampoo bottle.
Carbon labels are coming to your shampoo bottle.
That's correct.
I want to hear the paragraph on this one too.
Okay. Shoppers have been able to use nutrition labels to choose low salt meals or reduced sugar cereal. Now, some companies want to use labels to help them pick everything from shampoo to milk based on products' carbon emissions.
I hope this is true.
Mm.
I'm gonna go with that.
There's no hopium here. Is it true or false?
It's true.
You
All
got
right.
it. All right. You're now winning 2-0. These next few are all Florida Man headlines. Are you familiar with Florida Man?
Yes.
You're about to be even more familiar with Florida Man.
Why don't you explain Florida Man, just in case any of our listeners aren't familiar?
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and explain Florida Man? What do you think of it?
Oh, anytime you see some ridiculous article, it usually starts with Florida Man, like Florida Man gets head stuck in alligator or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's this canonical Florida Man that is always getting into hijinks.
That's right. So these are 3 of those. The first one is Florida Man gets beat up by Santa Claus.
True.
True?
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Turns out it was the Easter Bunny. Oh, and with that, it's now 0-0 again. You're back at 0. The full story is a Florida man received a beatdown from the Easter Bunny, and the whole thing was caught on video. It all started when the man bumped into a woman, and words were exchanged. The Easter Bunny hopped into action and proceeded to demonstrate what happens when you're. Oh, sorry, I rewrote it. I was trying to read the original. I'm reading mine. I changed it to Santa leaped into action and proceeded to demonstrate what happens when you're naughty or not nice. The fight was eventually broken up by Orlando police and a bystander. So yeah, everything there is true except for it was the Easter Bunny and not Santa Claus. And I changed the puns. I think it said the Easter Bunny showed what happens when he pulls out his fists of fury or something stupid like that. I don't know. Anyways, that one is false.
I should get a half a point because I refuse to believe that if you went back far enough, there's not some article about a Florida man fighting Santa.
Oh. Well, if you can find the link behind the show, I'll edit it back in. All right, next one. A Florida man with state tattooed on head calls 911 for a ride home.
Florida man with state tattooed, like the word state or the state of Florida?
I can't provide any more context unless you want the paragraph. Do you want the paragraph?
Yeah, I'll do the paragraph.
All right. A Florida man with his favorite state tattooed on his forehead was arrested after calling 911 multiple times requesting a ride home. A deputy who found the Florida man offered to call him a cab, but he said he didn't have money for one. He then began to walk in the direction of his home, then called 911 a second time, again requesting a ride. The same officer caught up with him and arrested him while he was on the line.
That sounds real.
That one's real. 1 point.
We've all been there, Florida man.
We've all been there. You ever had the state of Nebraska tattooed on your forehead? All right, last one. Florida man breaks into home, sucks on sleeping man's toes. Oh, gosh. What do you think?
I think that it's false, but I want to hear the paragraph just so I can hear that and just assume that you wrote that. And I just want to hear what you would write about there.
The incident occurred on Christmas Eve. According to the resident, he awoke to find the Florida man at his feet, who then proclaimed that he broke into the home, quote, to suck toes. He then attempted to fondle the man, according to the police report. After the two got into a fight, the Florida man smashed a window and the victim's windshield before making an escape. No arrests have been made.
I think it's false. I think it's a lie.
And you are false. That is 100% true, my friend. And with that, you're back at 0. This is going very well. You get one right, you get one wrong. Get one right, get one wrong. I wish that wasn't true as well. Because that is terrible. Okay. The next headline. Rapper Flava Flav in hot water after exposing himself during Cameo.
I have seriously looked at getting a cameo from Flava Flav, so I hope that's not true. But I'm going to say that it is true.
You're saying it's true. I made that one up.
It was somebody else, right?
No, I just completely made it up out of whole cloth. You want to hear the paragraph I wrote for it?
I do.
Okay, I'll let you know that you have -1 now, so I'm officially winning. William Jonathan Drayton Jr., widely known by his stage name Flava Flav, may face charges for a video he produced on Cameo, a service where people hire celebrities to create brief videos and share them with their friends. The video in question was for a woman's 40th birthday, and according to Drayton, the customer requested, quote, something special for his biggest fan. Pretty believable, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that one might get over on you, although I think that would make some sort of bigger news. Like, you probably would have heard about it, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. There's lots of ridiculous things on the news. Okay, you now have -1. You're digging out of the red. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
There's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 more. Next headline. Internet's Hide the Pain Herald accidentally used by Swedish COVID-19 vaccine website. Do you know Hide the Pain Herald?
I do.
Know that guy? Okay.
Yeah. It's the old guy holding a mug, right?
Yeah, and he's smiling.
Yeah.
But you can tell on his face that he's actually like seriously in pain or hates his life or whatever. So people use it all the time when you're like acting like you're okay.
I actually watched a Where Are They Now with that guy on YouTube. Yeah.
Where is he now?
He's enjoying it. He gets noticed on the street and people want to take pictures with him.
Yeah, because wasn't he just like it was like stock photo, wasn't it?
Yeah. Said he'd been doing it for years and never anything come of it. And then
someone just noticed like this guy's eyes tell a different story than his lips, you know, his smile. That's cool. He's living up. He's an internet celebrity now.
Yeah. I forgot what
this COVID-19. So Internet's Hide the Pain Herald accidentally used by Swedish COVID-19 vaccine website. You're at -1, so you can guess. You can get the paragraph.
If it's stock photography, how can it be accidentally used?
Like a private eye over there.
I'm going to say it's false.
You're going to say it's false. And you fail once again. That one's true.
Oh, no.
So accidentally might be a editorial word used by whoever is reporting this. Maybe it was on purpose, you know, but I think if you're using stock photo, I think the point of like these websites is like it's a real person who's happy because they got their vaccine or something. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it probably was accidental. Like, yeah, exactly.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, he's hiding the pain. And according to the health authority in Sweden, officials said on Tuesday evening that the image has now been removed. So it definitely was an accident because they got called out and they're like, okay, we're taking that one down.
You would think that would get the younger folks in to actually get the vaccine.
Yeah. Like if Harold can do it, you know,
yeah,
it should be okay. Okay, the next one, Pringles to launch new lip balm product line.
Oh, man. I want to hear those.
-3. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Kellogg Company announced a new set of products from its iconic Pringles brand. The company said it would release a delicious lip balm with flavors such as salt and vinegar and sour cream and onion.
That can't be real.
But you're not sure, are you?
I'm not.
Just like doing the internet on April Fool's Day. You never know. Is this real or not?
I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say it's real.
You're going to say it's real?
Yeah.
I made it up. Oh. That was after 1, so you got -4 there. Or total -4. Oh, I'm feeling pretty happy at this point. I feel like I got you just never knowing what's true. All right, 2 more. 330 million Americans sue Cardi B for psychological damage.
It's true.
Nope.
Oh,
This one This one came off The Onion or one of those satire sites. I did not write that one. But it's believable. Okay.
Yeah.
You're now at -6. You're failing miserably. And you would have been better off not having played, as you said at the top. Last one. U.S. man returns from swift shopping trip to find 15,000 bees in his car.
I feel like I saw this one, so I'm going to say it's true.
Yeah, that's right. You got the last one right, which puts you at -4. So still a big loser. Well, it feels nice to get the last one correct. Yeah, apparently this guy went shopping in New Mexico, came back. There was 15,000 honeybees who had gotten in through an open window while he spent 10 minutes buying groceries. Astonishingly, the man did not notice the sudden presence of a giant swarm of buzzing insects on his vehicle's backseat until he was driving away.
What?
Yeah. So he must have been distracted because how do you miss it, right?
Yeah. And I just wonder what they were doing. Why would they want to be in his car?
I don't know. Maybe there was something sweet in there. You know, bees swarm and sometimes they'll leave their hive and swarm somewhere else around specific sources of food or something. I don't know. Bees me. All right, with that, we finish headlines. I would say it was a big victory for me, at least. If you enjoyed this segment, please let us know, and we will do it again. Otherwise, we'll banish it to the forest resources. We'll banish it to the forest recesses of the internet, never to be seen again until April Fool's Day, 2022. All right, break right there. I haven't had the chat open. Uh-oh. Which one is Rebecca was saying? I hope you didn't make this one up.
Oh, I think that was... I don't remember. I think it was the feet one.
The feet one. Yeah, I didn't make that one up. That's... Aaron says it's fun, but no. So JS Party is a weekly celebration of JavaScript and the web. So this has nothing to do with JavaScript, but has everything to do with the web, because these are all headlines from around the web and in my head. So there is your explanation of why this makes sense. All right, you ready for shout outs? Do you have something to shout out?
I will go first.
You will. You're gonna have to have it in like 30 seconds from now.
I know.
I know. All right, start thinking.
All right.
And I'll start first. We don't have a shout outs jingle. All right, we're going to finish up today's show with some shout outs. And I'm going to go first. I'm going to give a shout out to a tool and some people that we're using right now that I've been appreciating quite a bit lately. HackMD, which you'll find at hackmd.io. It is a online collaborative markdown based writing tool. So think about Google Docs and how crappy the UI and the everything and writing in there and copying and pasting out of it. Think about all that. And just, don't you ever have Google Docs? You're like, I just want to write in Markdown, you know? And there's Dropbox Paper, which is better because you can kind of write in Markdown, but then it formats things weird and then you can't copy it out exactly the same. And they have a lot of unfurling they do. And I'm just like, please stop unfurling. I just want the link to just sit there anyways. Not a huge fan, although I would take Paper over Docs. And now I would take HackMD because it's basically exactly what I would want. It is a markdown editor, and it even has that cool split view where the left-hand side is what you write, and the right-hand side is the rendered version. You can toggle that off and on. So you can go like full writing mode, full viewing mode, or split screen mode. But it has all the nifty collaboration tools, you know, that you'd expect from like a Google Docs or a Dropbox Paper, just by sharing the URL, which is my favorite thing. Like, give me a URL, right? Make it a obfuscated one so it can't be easily found, and just pass it around. Now they do have settings you can set up, like who can read, who can write. It gets more complicated, but like the base use case is super simple. And that's what I love about it. I love web tools that allow me just to share quickly and get people involved. We've been using it for JS Party documentation, or not documentation, like scratch sheets where we're sharing to do the show for a while. I've been doing it for a lot of my blog writing. I've been doing it for pretty much everything for the last, 6 months or so. And today, because of April Fools, it turns out, I've realized they also have Vim mode. And the reason why I found that out, I thought maybe this was actually an April Fool's joke. And I was like, please don't let this be fake. I want this to always be here. But it has existed for a while. I just didn't notice it. Today, for April Fools, in the menu bar, they did put this like April Fool's joke, which is like the Nyan cat. They called it a red panda, which I'm not sure if that's like a different meme, but it's like a progress bar with like the red panda walking across, and that drew my eyes down. And I saw on the right hand side they have different settings, such as do you want to use tabs or spaces? Of course, everybody picks spaces. And you want to have 2 or 4, and everybody picks 2. But you can also set your editor, and they have Sublime, and they have Emacs, and they have Vim. So you get your Vim key bindings in your browser, collaborative, share via URL, with lots of cool keyboard shortcuts and all the bells and whistles. I just really like this tool. So shout out to the folks at HackMD. I did put some tweets out today, and they responded regarding this Vim thing, ensuring me that it's not an April Fool's joke. It's actually a real feature. And I decided to invite him on the show. So I think it's all open source. I saw they have like 56 open source repos on their GitHub. I think they're over there in Taiwan. So they've agreed to come on. I'm not sure how it'll work out, timing and whatnot, and if they're native English speakers or anything like that. But cool technology, open source, all built with Webby tools. And I'm a big fan. So shout out to HackMD.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw your tweet about the Vim mode. It made me wonder what is special about Sublime mode versus anything else, any other editor. But
yeah, I don't really know if it's just like, because like I think, well, so I brought a lot of my Sublime shortcuts into VS Code. So I'm not sure what VS Code's defaults are, because I just kind of thought they were the same, in terms of keyboard shortcuts. I wonder how different those, like stock Sublime text versus stock VS Code, if those are similar. Of course, a lot of the editors used or borrowed from Emacs, which is a lot of the control-based shortcuts and not modes. So maybe there's an Emacs and there's a Sublime. I don't know the difference between the two. I think it defaults to Sublime because that's what I was in before I realized you could toggle it. But I'm not really sure. They have a question mark operator. Let me see. Usually you can do a... no, it doesn't seem to be working. A lot of times you can do question mark and just they'll open up a keyboard shortcut, overlay, which tells you what all things do. But it doesn't seem to be working, at least in Vim mode.
In Vim mode, it opens up to do a regex search.
That's right. Is that what Vim does?
Slash does, which it also does in here.
Yeah, so / I do. I never hit question mark to do a regex in Vim, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did that as well. Now, I've only used it in Vim mode for probably like 2 hours, and all of my normal navigation is working. So like DD to delete a line, :1 goes to the top, Shift G goes to the bottom, like all the things I'm used to. But I wonder how uncanny valley it gets the more you use it. How are they achieving this Vim support? And is it getting one of those things where it supports like 80% of Vim key bindings, but then your favorite tip and trick doesn't work? I don't know. Haven't used it long enough to know that, but it is good enough for me to enjoy it so far.
Yeah. And real-time follow-up, I did not know this, but question mark does actually do regex search, but backwards.
Backwards meaning starting at the bottom of the document and working up?
Starting from your cursor and looking up rather than down.
Oh, that's nifty.
I did not know that because I've never used it. I use slash all the time.
Right, but it's shift slash, so it's like, it makes sense, right? Yeah. It's the same key. Just one with a shift key, so one goes one way, one goes the other. TIL right here live on JS Party.
I got a story that I'm going to tell. You're gonna love it, baby, think it's swell. I only learned it today. TIL.
Yeah, there we go. I stalled for you. We're still doing shout outs. Do you have a shout out, Nick? Shout us out.
I do. And that shout out is, I literally forgot while I was looking up this Vim thing. What was it? Oh, yeah. I'm going to shout out also a thing. That is, an app called Keyboard Maestro. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I do not know what it does. So please tell me.
So it does a lot, but it lets you set up automations basically on your Mac. It's a Mac program, and it lets you like set up so that when I hit these specific keyboard buttons, and I can have it like specific to an application. Say when Slack is in the foreground and I press question mark or something like that, then run this script, or I can have it like I can record a macro and have it actually like move my mouse around and quickly do something, or I can have it select from a menu, and you can mix and match these all together to build cool automations that do a lot of different things. And so I started playing this, and I also have a Stream Deck, and Stream Deck it's like a little device that mine has 16, and all of the buttons have are like little LCDs, so you can set what each is, and I can trigger Keyboard Maestro macros from that, and so I can push a button and have it do things like turn my lights on and off, and I can also have it do things like automatically open up Audio Hijack and get ready for a Zoom meeting and get ready to record, or have it automatically start recording, and kind of combine them all together. So then I just push a button and it can do things like lay out windows. So I have it like moving windows where I want on my screen, so everything is not overlapping and it's all readily visible for me. And then it can start recording and turn my lights on and do all of this really cool stuff. So it's a pretty cool way to do some simple and complex automation on your Mac.
That is cool. So it's actually driving like the mouse around and everything as well, right? It's not
It can.
Yeah, it can. So you can like say, go to this area of the screen and click here,
Mhm.
kind of a thing.
Yep. It's got a little recorder too, so you can just record and then it'll figure it out. So from there, I click instead of Tweetbot and then click 60 pixels from 120 pixels up, click there. So it's like where the window is, or relative to the edges, and go from there.
That sounds a little fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like if you change the size of your Tweetbot window, it's broken.
Yeah. Well, now you know about this. So.
So is this a free app? Is it a paid app? Is it Mac only?
It is Mac only. It is not free either. I forgot how much it is. $36 American. But it's pretty cool. To be able to set these things up and have it kind of automatically set my workspace up the way I want it for different scenarios, whether that's writing code or looking at documentation or taking a meeting or doing a podcast. I can have it quickly switch. And that's kind of the main thing that I've been coming into it with is, how do I set up my workspace without me having to manually like move windows around and set things up exactly how I always want them. It's just now a button click away for me.
Yeah, that's nice. So I have this, I have a laptop and I don't dock it, but I plug it into things, right? I have a separate monitor and I have, my interface, etc. to plug into. And then I want to leave my desk and take my laptop downstairs, and I do that, and everything kind of like munges into one screen. So I kind of have two modes of computing on this thing. I have like my plugged in, almost like docked mode and undocked mode. And it would be nice to have just like, I wish it would just detect like, hey, I just plugged into your second monitor. I'm going to do put everything back where you had it, before you detached or something like that.
Yeah.
So I could get that done maybe with Keyboard Maestro and just have it do certain things. Does it trigger, like it triggers on a keyboard shortcut, or can I have it trigger on an event?
Yeah. So you could have it trigger on like mounting a particular volume, connecting to a specific Wi-Fi. There's
Okay.
display layout changed, which would probably be like going from an external monitor to your
Exactly.
laptop, and have it trigger based on that. So yeah, there's
That's
lots of
cool.
different. And then there's just simple things like there's a you can just have it start up its own web server, and then you can send it triggers. Like if you publicly expose that, you can just send triggers to it, or from like your local network, you could have it. You know, I'm going to just post to this address, and now my Mac's going to go do something.
That's
Or you can just have it like be a cron trigger. Yeah.
So is that how do you do this deal where you change the lights in your room there that you just demonstrated?
Yeah. So that's actually connected with the Stream Deck software. It has a control center that is controlling them. And then that is
Which is
just
a piece of software that runs on your machine, and so
Right.
Keyboard Maestro is just controlling that software.
right.
Okay. So what would be a cool thing that you would run a web server and post to it from different parts of your house?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Can those Hue lights, can they do webhook kind of things? Like, can you configure those things to make, because this is like inbound request, right? Like it's posting
Yeah.
to your Keyboard Maestro web server. So something would have to be like pushing data or pushing an event, like the lights turned on. Maybe you could have it hook up to your switch as well. Like if you had a regular light switch and it turned on, if you could configure the Hue lights to actually do that, they could make a post over to your web server and do something on your laptop, you know, control your laptop somehow via
Yeah.
some other switch in your house.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
All I want
There's-
is for my Windows to go back where they were when I unplugged, man. That's all I want in my
Yeah.
life. I have like this dance I do. Plug in, like this is here, that goes there, that goes there. Oh, I'm back. It's like this seems like something a computer should do.
Yeah. They can do it. That's the amazing thing.
They can, but they won't without a lot of tomfoolery, you know?
Yeah. That's what it always
So-
seems like.
It is. You're like, oh, this thing's not going to last. You know, I've set up enough hacks in my life where I'm like, this hack isn't going to last. And nowadays I just do the manual thing. I'm like, yeah, I can either set up the hack, maintain the hack, or I can just do the manual thing for, you know. And nowadays I'm just like, I'm just going to drag the window every time until something that actually is like supported by the operating system, you know?
Yeah.
If Steve Jobs doesn't come back from the dead and do the feature for me, like I'm not going to have it. Like that's what has to happen.
Well, I don't look into it too much, but there is Automator that comes standard with Macs, and you probably have Apple Script, which is immediately something I look at. You can do a lot of automation just natively on the Mac. without any
Yeah.
extra
So
software.
have you written Apple scripts? Because I have.
Yes.
I'd rather do the manual way.
Yeah.
That being said, there is a JavaScript interface now into scripting the Mac, but I've also tried to use that and to very little success.
It's
the
still
docs-
terrible.
Yeah, the documentation is just like, I can't, it's inscrutable. How do I even use it? Like I understand
Yeah.
JavaScript, but I can't use this API, you know?
Yeah. The only piece of AppleScript that I've written, and I wrote it actually in AppleScript and JavaScript, and that was to ask music or Spotify what song is playing so that I can put that in my Tbunk stock. And then the Tbunk stock just refreshes every 5 seconds and asks what's playing right now, and it updates right there. And that broke in macOS Big Sur. And it broke in a really weird way where it just like throws an error that the object that I'm trying to grab from music doesn't exist. Except it does if I'm playing like a music file that is in my library. But if it's just like I'm listening to, you know, Apple Music Radio, whatever that's called,
Right.
or like an Apple Music playlist that is not in my library, then it's like, whoa, I don't know what this is. And it just blows up.
Wow. Yeah. That's life. The best AppleScript I've written, probably ever, but definitely lately, is one that we use for our clips, the way we make our clips, which is we actually use Keynote for our clips. And we write the text in a text document. So we pull the text out of our transcripts, and they're just marked down transcripts. So they're basically text with a little bit of formatting. And we just copy all those into a text document and just space it out. So it'll be like Jared and then a thing, and then Nick and then a thing, and just format it according to what I came up with. And then you copy that into your clipboard, and then you open up Keynote and you execute this Apple script, and it actually scripts Keynote to go and parse the text and then like add a slide for each one and paste it into there. And then it'll even go and switch like the active face and stuff like that. Super
Wow.
cool. It took me way too long to get this to work. But once it worked, it felt like magic because I hit paste. It's like a special, and then I attached that Apple script to a keyboard shortcut inside a Keynote. So I just like execute it and it's like, and all these slides come into life.
Do you like
So
watch it
cool.
as it's going, or is it like,
Yeah.
is it recording? Like, does it start the screen show and then record that somehow, or is that something manual?
No, so that it just pastes them in basically, and then there's like you'll want to do some fixes and stuff from there usually, because like
Yeah.
the way the words show up on the slide will be like weirdly formatted. So like maybe like add a line or remove a line or shrink the text or make the text bigger. So you do all that. It's kind of like a QA phase, and then inside Keynote they have an actual recording option, which people use, I believe, to either pre-record their talks or to practice their talks and watch them back. So you can go into Side Keynote and say like record my talk, and it will display your talk, on the screen, as well as your regular heads up display. What do they call that? Like the presentation view. So you can see the timing, you can see the next slide, etc. And it will record what's on the screen and your voice and anything that's going through the system. So you can also add a soundtrack in Keynote as well. So like maybe you want to have like mood music while you're doing your talk. These weird features of Keynote, we're abusing them. So we drag the sounds into there and we just say like play and we record it. And then we just hit the next button over and over again as it makes sense with the person talking. So you basically perform the slide once in real time, and then it records that, and then you got your clip.
Nice.
Yeah. It still takes some work, but it's way less work than what the other way is, which is basically you like get most of these tools, you get all your clips into a thing, and then you have to like change the start and end times of every clip. And it's usually on like this side or every slide. And it's like this sideways horizontal scroll thing. Super annoying. And then uses up a bunch of RAM because it's like some Adobe thing or some web thing that just clogs the rest of your machine down. And it takes like an hour to do one good clip. And this way we can crank them out. But that automator was worth writing because I wrote it once and we've used it hundreds of times,
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
sometimes computers are cool. As long as we don't change the size of the window or whatever, until it breaks, and then I'll be cursing it again.
Yeah. So did you have to write a lot of Apple script for that, or was it more of like recording macros type thing?
I have the Apple script here. At the end of the day, it's probably like 100, 150 lines. But getting to those lines, right? Like I wrote probably 1,000 lines to get to the 150, by, because there's like certain ways you access the Keynote object, and you can like instruct it to do things and then pass it the data, but that's not the way. And every time that you change it, you have to like run through, there's no automated test suite where I can just hit compile and run, you have to like, so it took a long time, but I think it's not very much Apple script. And there are built-in things for like parsing a text file, not parsing it, but ingesting a text file and then looping over the lines, and then just very basic regular expression stuff to like say, is this a start of a phrase or is this a person's name? That kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Nice.
I tried to write it in JavaScript and I just couldn't figure it out. It wasn't the JavaScript's fault. It was their script.
Like Apple script JavaScript?
Yeah. Like this is written in actual Apple script, but I was trying to use the JavaScript interface, and they're just, the documentation just didn't, I just couldn't figure it out. So I was like, well, the Apple script documentation is actually better. So that's going to be the difference, even though the language is just terrible. Tell this to do that. Like, it's like weird. Anyways, Keyboard Maestro, shout out to that, and shout out to HackMD. That's our show for this week. We have a couple of cool episodes coming down the pipeline. Next week, we're going to have the author of HTMX come on the show. This is a HTML over the wire solution, so similar to like Alpine or Livewire, Phoenix Live View, and Basecamp's new Hotwire stuff. So HTMX author is going to be on. Frost will be back for that one as well. We also have Jen Creighton coming up soon. She is the host of the Single Threaded podcast. So stay tuned for that one. And other cool things that I can't think of off the top of my head. But we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you liked Headlines, let us know, because that's the only way we'll do it again is if people say, yeah, do it again. Otherwise, it was a one-hit wonder. And yeah, that's JS Party for this week. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.
All right. Let's see if I can pull that code up. Yeah, it's called pastequotes.script. Open with script editor. See how many lines. Oh gosh, it's even less lines than I thought. There's no line count on this editor though, so we'll never know. But I'll screen grab it real quick. Actually, let me just share screen. Probably even easier since we have visual aid here. Desktop 2. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the entire thing right there. So man, that's probably like 30, 40 lines. I think this is my only sub method or function. It's called isNumber, and it just like returns true or false if a string that comes in is a number, and then tell application keynote to activate, and then we just like loop over the quotes, which set quotes to paragraphs of get the clipboard. So whatever is in your clipboard, this is like specific AppleScript stuff, and then you loop over those. If it's empty, skip it. Set the active slide. Here's things that are like specific to Keynote. To the current slide, blah, blah, blah. If it's a number, you're going to do some image count stuff. Otherwise, you're going to set the text. Yeah. So you can see how there's not very much to it, but like this took a very long time to write.
I bet.
Especially because there's just, go ahead.
I was just going to say that this AppleScript, there's just something that rubs me the wrong way about it.
Oh, gosh, it's terrible. Yeah. I hate the end. Like, tell the active slide to set the object text of the default item to quote, and then end tell. Like, that's like tell and end tell.
Yeah.
And then like repeat, end, repeat. Why can't you just end and count the number of ends? And if it lines up, it doesn't make sense why you have to tell it what to end. And then this is a comment. Yeah, it just took a really long time to actually figure it out.
Yeah.
If I was going to change this, it'd probably take me just as much time because it's
I would 100% rather write Bash.
So much finicky. Yeah, completely. That's why, I wanted to write it in JavaScript. I just could not figure it out. And I was like,
yeah,
all right, I'm just going to write it in AppleScript. But
have you ever heard of OmniFocus, or have you used that before?
I've heard of it. I've never used it.
It's like a task manager, like a really complex. It doesn't really hold your hand too much. So you can make it as complex as you want, but you can make it really complex. But it kind of follows the GTD, like projects and action tags or context methodology.
Okay.
But they have added their own scripting language, which is JavaScript. And it's actually, they brought in Sal Sagoyan, who worked on Automator for Apple, to work on their automation stuff. And I've been playing around with that too. And it is so cool what you can do with it. Like I've only done some pretty basic stuff, but every morning when I come in, instead of me having to like go hunt down what code reviews I need to do during the day, because like we have a team in India. So like we basically have code reviews coming in all day and all night.
Yeah.
And I just push a button in my task manager and it goes and fetches all of the PRs that I'm tagged to review, and it checks if they're already in my system. And if they're not, it adds them and keeps it up to date. And then it does the same thing for any new Jiras. It goes and asks Jira, what I have, and it syncs all of that up. And if I close it in Jira, it closes it in my task manager. Like
Nice.
keeps everything in sync. It's so cool. I just
So
love automation like this.
Yeah, that is awesome. So you're just keeping these are your own personal tasks.
Yeah.
Syncing them up with what's in Jira, what's in GitHub.
Right. I try and make OmniFocus be my like one stop. Like everything that I have to do is somehow reflected in there. And then
Work
that
and
might just
life?
have links out. Yeah,
Everything. Your whole
Yep.
life's in there.
pretty much.
Yeah. I just use the reminders app on my phone. I use Apple Notes and Apple Reminders. I don't
I got
have any sort of to-do list app anymore. I just use reminders.
I got too far into this way before reminders ever got.
Yeah. Well, reminders
was
was
ever a
terrible
thing.
for a long time.
Yeah.
But the fact that you could, and I've had to do apps in the past, but the fact that I can just say, talk to my phone and tell me, remind me to do this at 7:30 p.m. or whatever.
Yep.
Just having everything in there. Now, can you talk to OmniFocus? Because I know they have iOS apps. Can you talk through Siri
Yep.
to OmniFocus?
I just have to end it with in OmniFocus. In OmniFocus. So I just say like, remind me to walk the dog in OmniFocus, and
That's
it'll
not
add
too bad.
that. Yeah.
I thought you had to start with it or tell OmniFocus to remind me or something.
I have to
Probably 'cause I'm
verbally
get-
speak AppleScript.
Yeah, exactly. I probably have, what's it called? Not Stockholm syndrome, but shell shock for right. Tell Keynote to activate, and tell. That's funny. All right. Well, thanks for making this possible.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if people enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's a bit during your keyboard maestro time where you were getting pretty choppy for me. So hopefully
It popped up and said I was unstable.
Yeah.
My connection. But I forgot to stop my recording. So I have the recording and I just stopped it now.
Oh yeah, I haven't stopped mine yet either. So yeah, as long as that turns out good. If that recording ends up being not good, I might have to have you come back and do it a second time because I could barely hear some of the things you're saying. At least, I mean, it was a short
really?
period of time. I got the gist of Keyboard Maestro, but there was definitely cutouts that were substantial enough where I'll be like, can't hear him.
Okay.
But
Hopefully my audio hygiene.
your audio is usually great, so I'm not worried about it. I wasn't worried about it at the time. Just heads up. Anyways, thanks for hanging out in the chats, y'all. Thomas, Rebecca, Igor, Mohammed, Aaron, everybody else. Appreciate y'all. And yeah, next week we should have a guest on. We're gonna do Faraz is going to do a best of Speakeasy. Of course, Faraz had his big launch today of wormhole.app, so we'll probably at some point get a technical breakdown of that sucker as well,
Yeah.
since he always builds weird, cool things that have like crazy tech that I don't understand. And,
That one looked interesting for sure.
basically it's Firefox Send,
Yeah.
which I'm like, love it, because I like that thing. And when it disappeared, I'm like, that sucks. He did call it a startup though. It's interesting because I don't think Firefox Send ever made any money, but maybe he's got better ideas then. We'll have to ask him.